Ladies and gentlemen, after a good, fantastic off-season for these drivers to go and absolutely go do a lot of other racing in other divisions, the WRLA officially makes its return, and we're getting ready to go racing here at the Kalamazoo Speedway for our heats and LCQs to set the starting lineup for tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. Welcome on in over here on the YouTube stream. For those of you just now tuning in, I'm Elijah Leonard. I will be bringing you the action all throughout the 2026 season, not just in the Cup Series, but also in the Xfinity and the Truck Series later on in the year. We have a lot of new faces in familiar places, and familiar faces in some new places and new looks for some drivers heading into our 2026 season. And we're going to cover them all here for you tonight as pretty much as best as we possibly can throughout our 20-lap heats and our 50-lap LCQs that we will have here tonight. We're having the pretty much the same format that we had for last year's clash at the LA Coliseum, which is the top 4 will make it into our main event, and then the top 3 from our 2 LCQs will make up the rear end of the field. So in other words, the winners from our 5 heats will make up 1st through 5th. Actually, yeah, it should be. No, yeah. I don't even know anymore, but we will definitely, you guys definitely get it. So our winners will make up 1st through 5th. At least that's what I hope. I don't even know anymore, man. So, but we will definitely figure that math out as time goes on. But I know it definitely sounds like I'm all over the place, but we got the format down, or at least I should really hope that we have the format down, and do genuinely apologize for that. But nonetheless, we should be good to go. The winner, I don't even know anymore. I'm just really excited to get this season underway here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Let's get on down to our first heat. So our heat starting lineups have been set by the way that these drivers have been practiced, so at least the performance in practice sessions. And therefore, Eric Rogel-Dorn, who is returning for Durrani Racing, he lines up on the pole. And newcomers to WRLA, the Davis Family Racing Stable, one of the part-timers that are in here, that's Michael Davis. He'll be driving the number 30 throughout the 2026 season. He'll also be running full-time in the Menards Truck Series. Row 2 sees Quentin Moore returning for Durrani Racing, and then Josiah Munsell in the 15. He'll be running full-time in the Xfinity Series, but has a completely new look here in the Cup Series. We will definitely get a good look at that car in this heat, and possibly the LCQ later on tonight. Terry Walker returning, of course, from Walker Family Motorsports for the brand new colors here for the Lowe's Toyota Camry. I almost said Supra, but imagine if we were running Supras. And then Andrew Miller returning for NS Racing in an inverted Loctite Ford Mustang for NS Racing. And then row 4 is a newly colored Xbox Toyota Camry for sophomore driver Jerry Rose. He will be starting in the 7th position. That's our Pocono winner from last year. And then Jordan Sumner returning here in the WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series. She will be going full-time in the Xfinity Series when the green flag drops at Daytona, and she will be running limited races here in the Cup Series. And then our provisional starters for heat number 1, that being Tanner Parton in returning for Vision Motorsports in some very new colors for Vision Motorsports. They had a lot of changes throughout the offseason, going from Chevrolet to Ford, actually, and new sponsors for Tanner Parton. He is now going to be carrying the Mobile One colors throughout the 2026 season, and new driver of the number 69, Alex Sanvantali. So 20 laps to distance for all of our heats. Our winners will be making up 1st through 5th. Second place, second runner-ups will basically be making up 6th through 11th, and so on until we get our full 26 car field. Actually, do want to do something here real quick because I completely forgot our engine sounds. Here we go. Yeah, I'm a little ill prepared, so I do apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, Rogel Dorn, Michael Davis, they're going to lead the field to the green flag, and heat number 1 is underway. A little bit of side-by-side action here for the race lead as they come off of turn number 4. It's going to be Rogel Dorn that leads the first lap of action here in heat number 1. Quentin Moore working his way down to the inside here. That would be the battle for the second position. And if we are going by top 4, then at the current moment, Terry Walker is holding on to the bubble spot. Jerry Rose down there on the inside in the Xbox colors. He'll be making his way down to the bottom, heading through turn 1 and 2 this time by. Michael Davis falling back to 3rd and almost into the clutches of Jerry Rose, who had himself a very fantastic storybook ending to the 2025 season. And points-wise, he did not have a good season whatsoever, but ever since basically we went into our makeup races, of course, the Coke 600 and the Pocono 400, obviously of all places, Pocono. Jerry Rose, of course, managed to be in the right place at the right time to score a win to bookend his 2025 season, but he is now outside of the top 4. Tanner Parton now moves up into the 4th position, and Alex Sanvatali, the new driver of the number 69 for Durrani Racing. Originally, it was Russell Blaze, but now he has gone on to form his own team of Death Rider Racing, where we are going to see later on in our heats tonight. San Matali making good on being the new driver of this number 69 car, moving up inside of the top 5, but so far on the outside looking in as of this current moment. Halfway through heat number 1. And so far, it is Rogel Dorn leading the charge. His teammate of Quentin Moore sitting in 2nd. Michael Davis in a pretty good position here to advance his way in. He's in 3rd. And Tanner Parton is in the 4th position. Jerry Rose on the outside looking in, fending off San Vitali, who is in the 6th position. Terry Walker working his way to the inside of the 20 of Jordan Sumner. That's for 7th. Then Sumner 8th, Munsell 9th, and Andrew Miller completing the top 10, coming to 6 laps to go in heat number 1. And so far is from what we can see, of course, I mean, obviously, there's not a lot going on here in the heats. I mean, most of the action is going to be towards the beginning, but once everybody sort of gets singled out here, it is kind of just game over, and we are going to be seeing that throughout our heats tonight. Possibly our LCQs, but then again, we're going to have more drivers in the LCQs, so that will definitely be something to watch out for as we're coming down to 3 to go in our first heat of the night. And Rogel Dorn still leading the charge. Coming to 2 laps to go. And everybody's now essentially gotten themselves into a single file rhythm because they know, of course, they're pretty much out of time, and some of them will be moving on into the LCQs. But as for Rogel Dorn, who just took the white flag and working his way through 3 and 4 one more time, he will be advancing on into tomorrow night's main event. Rogel Dorn takes the checkered flag, and he will be starting first in tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. Quentin Moore will advance on along with Michael Davis and the 07 of Tanner Parton. He will hold on to the final transfer spot in heat number 1. Everybody else from 5th on down, they will be moving on into tonight's one of 2 LCQs later on tonight, that being Jerry Rose, Alex Sanvitali, Jordan Sumner, Terry Walker, Josiah Munsell, and also Andrew Miller. Obviously, you want to flip-flop the order of those 2 drivers, Miller and Munsell. But regardless, they will be moving on into our LCQs later on tonight. But big congratulations to Rogel Dorn and as well as the 04 of Quentin Moore, Michael Davis, and Tanner Parton for advancing on into tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Of course, you are going to notice that our graphics, some of our graphics have yet to be updated. Of course, this one, it's no longer the Pepsi Cup series. It is the NOS Energy Cup series. So obviously a little ill prepared, if you will, but rest assured, in due time, everything will be up to date here very, very shortly. So again, do want to apologize for sort of the lack thereof of updated graphics and whatnot, but I will definitely say that we are going to get those graphics and everything else updated over time. So we do appreciate the patience, and hopefully you guys are having yourselves a fantastic night. That was just heat number 1. We still have 4 more heats to go, and we're going to go ahead and get the cars for heat number 2 all lined up and ready to go on the racetrack. That was honestly a good way to start off our night here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Obviously, I'm not going to say that the racing itself is going to be superb here for our heats, but rest assured, once we get down to our main event tomorrow night with 26 cars running on the racetrack, oh boy, it is going to be an absolute banger, to say the least. And that for sure, I absolutely cannot wait for. Just going to go ahead and get all the cars situated for heat number 2. And again, we want to thank everybody for joining us here for our live YouTube coverage of our heats and LCQs here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And we got our heat. Of course, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but ladies and gentlemen, we do have our cars on track for our second heat of the night. As you can see here, Claire Phillips in her sophomore season and looking for redemption here for 2026. She lines up on the pole alongside Travis Crampton, who will be running full-time this year, and Roberto Crown Jr., Kyle Craven, our defending champion, the first of 4 Death Rider racing cars that we'll be seeing later on tonight. But Craven, amongst the first that we're seeing right now in action in the Dubby colors here for the 2026 season. Mercedes Davis and Abby Walker rocking the number 16 for this year. Of course, Wyatt Walker and Bobby McGuire striking a deal where McGuire would acquire the number 18 for his own team of McGuire Racing Enterprise, or McGuire Motorsports, rather. And then Joshua Cornish, who is returning to EGI, but in a 4th part-time entry. He will be running full-time in the Menards Truck Series. Zachary Taylor and Emily Anderson now driving the number 6 for this year. She completes our 10-car field here for our second heat of the night. That was a little too fast, but nonetheless, we are getting ready to go here for heat number 2 officially. Claire Phillips, Travis Crampton on the front row. A pair of Toyotas going to lead them to green here for heat number 2. Here we go. Phillips already on the brake here as they come off of turn number 4, and she's going to clear Crampton for the race lead officially. and will lead lap number 1. Again, for those that are just tuning in, these are the heats and LCQs for tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. It is the top 4 that make it on to the show. And that will set the starting lineup for tomorrow night's race. And our LCQs will be the top 3 in each LCQ. Phillips now starting to pull away from the 21 of Roberto Crown Jr. in his sophomore season, but here comes Mercedes Davis in the 13. She is running full-time here in the 2026 campaign for the newly formed Davis Family Racing in the number 13. She's in third. Zachary Taylor, who started near the caboose here on the field, he's already moving up into the 4th position, getting underneath of Travis Crampton, who's in trouble on the outside. And there's Emily Anderson in the number 6, moving up, just about to knock on the door of the top 5. And there's her teammate Joshua Cornish, reunited once again for the first time in quite some time. They are now running 6th and 7th right there. Go ahead, make your 6-7 jokes for those that are into that. But nonetheless, McGuire in trouble. He's starting to fall back. He'll be running the full campaign here for the 2026 season. And our defending champion, Kyle Craven, in the number 28 is in trouble. He's starting to fade back there. Then that number 28. And do ignore that the nameplate on the front and rear windshield said Stephen Walker. It is Kyle Craven driving this number 28. I do promise that, but this car is still yet to be finished. So the decals hopefully will be updated by the time the green flag drops, if that is permitting, if Craven does make the show for tomorrow night. But so far for Craven, it's not looking too good, running in the 8th position, so he will have to rely on the LCQ. As for the number 16 of Abby Walker, as she's going to try to make her way to the inside of Bobby McGuire. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, it is Claire Phillips who's starting to check out from the 21 of Roberto Crown Jr. And as for Phillips, she is looking for an absolute rebound. She's looking for a rebound, essentially, from last year. She started off the season really good, but unfortunately, as time progressed, she just kept fading away in the point standings until she finished just about outside of the top 30. But she has had some moments last year where she had the spotlight, but unfortunately just was not able to get the job done on several different occasions. But coming to 4 laps to go, she is well on her way to securing the outside pole position for tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. Zachary Taylor is also well on his way to moving on into tomorrow night's main event. We're coming on down to 2 laps of racing to go here for heat race number 2. We had a pretty anticlimactic heat race number 1, and it looks like it's going to end off the same way for heat 2 as Phillips comes off turn 4, white flag in the air. 1 more lap to go for the UPS machine. And through 3 and 4, Claire Phillips is going to see a berth in the Bash at the Zoo. If she takes a checkered flag for our second heat race of the night, she transfers on into tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. Roberto Crown Jr., Mercedes Davis, and the 85 of Zachary Taylor will all advance on into tomorrow night's main event. However, as you can see there, drivers such as Emily Anderson, Joshua Cornish, Travis Crampton, Kyle Craven, Abby Walker, and Bobby McGuire, those drivers will be moving on into our LCQs, which you will see those later on tonight. But again, huge congratulations to everybody that advanced on. So now we have 8 drivers that are into tomorrow night's show. And we still have yet to determine our next 18 positions. 15 of those we have yet to determine through our, actually, no, it is 12 of them, actually, that we still have yet to determine through our heats tonight. And so far, I would definitely say our heats for tonight have been pretty superb, if you ask me. But at least that's what I would personally say. But nonetheless, 2 heat races down, 3 more to go. These heat races, I will definitely say for sure, are passing by like hotcakes, or at least they're zooming. They are quite literally zooming, if you ask me. But we're going to get the cars all set up here for heat race number 3. And we might have ourselves a pretty good stacker, to say the least, when it comes to drivers that have been here for quite some time, whether if they've been a part of the NR community since the very beginning, or drivers that we haven't seen in a long time, or even drivers or just completely new faces. We are going to be seeing those here for tonight. But as we're going to unveil here for heat race number 3, you can see on the front row, that is the 77 of Ryan Davis. He will be running full time here for Davis Family Racing alongside Mercedes here in the NOS Energy Cup Series. Janiah Hill in her first full-time season, who won at Miami last year as a part-timer. She lines up on the front row alongside Ryan Davis, a pair of rookies. Then it's Wyatt Walker and Alex Bonsignor making up row number 2. Then in the third row, there's Russell Blaze driving now one of his own cars for his own team, Death Rider Racing. He completes the top 5. Nathan Stapleton in a new design for his Powerade colors. He will be starting in 6th. Haley Curris returning to the NOS Energy Cup Series. She's running full-time in the Xfinity Series for this year and will be making limited starts in the Cup Series. Eric Monaco returning for Powerhouse Crown Racing in the 8th position. And then a pair of Aussies are going to be starting at the caboose of the field. That means Zachary Fitzwater and also the 51 of Ryan Gundillo. As we are going to get this party started here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Pace car is off. And Ryan Davis and Janiah Hill, a duo of Toyotas, led us to green in the last heat. In this one, it's a duo of Chevrolets. Here they come through turn 4. Green is in the air for heat race number 3. Just about dead even there, heading through turns 1 and 2, and also through 3 and 4, but same song, similar dance as Ryan Davis breaks out with the top position. Wyatt Walker already on the offense on the inside. He's going to get by Janiah Hill pretty easily, but Hill's going to be trapped up on the outside as here comes Russell Blaze in the 29. Now, another thing to point out for Blaze and Walker, they are both teammates in Trey Wright's Mission Barbecue Cup Series. At least they're going to be teammates over in that series. We want to wish Trey the best of luck here for the 2026 Mission Barbecue Cup Series season. As for Walker and Blaze, they're teammates over there. But over here, it's a whole different story. Right now, they're running 2nd and 3rd, and they're in that threshold to get into tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. Haley Curris already on the offense. She takes the 4th position away from Hill, who's in trouble on the outside, and Curris trying to do everything she can to move up into the 3rd position. This Domino's machine is absolutely flying for 420 Blaze It. This is a team that she and Janiah used to co-own back in 2023, but now that Hill is actually driving for her boyfriend of Bobby McGuire, of course, Haley Curris has taken on the full ownership of 420 Blaze It. But Curris nonetheless up into the 4th position. Blaze in 3rd, Walker 2nd, Ryan Davis still leading the charge, closing in on the halfway mark of this 3rd heat of the night. Monaco now on the outside looking in with the 98 of Zachary Fitzwater, who started 9th in this race. He moves up into the 6th position. Janiah Hill now finding her way finally back down onto the inside, looking to try to play some offense here, but not able to make that car stick through 3 and 4. Here comes Nathan Stapleton in the 97, who had himself a fantastic ending to the 2025 season. Didn't get that year off to a good start, and really had been struggling all through last year until towards the very tail end of the season. But here we are in the 2026 campaign, and Nathan Stapleton looking to try to bring the heat for himself and NS Racing. Zachary Fitzwater looking to try to bring similar momentum to what he had last year, now driving the Pennzoil colors for NS Racing. But right now, things not looking too good here as far as trying to get into the main event through these heats. He will have to rely on the LCQ here, coming to 5 laps to go. Davis still with a 2/3 of a second advantage over Wyatt Walker, who is well on his way to advancing, along with Russell Blaze and also Haley Curris. And Eric Monaco just on the outside looking in as we come back over here between Gundillo and also the 7 of Janiah Hill. What's funny is that Hill and also the 22 of Alex Bonsignor, they were 1-2 last year when we were running at the LA Coliseum. Unfortunately, here for this year, they are second to last and will have to rely on the LCQ. So trouble for our defending winner of our unofficial opening of the season. White flag in the air for Ryan Davis, working his way through 3 and 4 now. Checkers are in the air, and Ryan Davis wins heat race number 3. He moves on. The Big Red Machine moves on into tomorrow night's main event, along with Wyatt Walker, Russell Blaze, and Haley Curris, holding on to that final transfer spot to get in to tomorrow night's show. However, again, as for Monaco, Fitzwater, Stapleton, Godillo, Hill, and Bonsignor, they will have to rely on our LCQs, which we will see those later on tonight. So that now makes it 12 drivers that have officially gotten in through our heats. And coming up here very, very shortly, we will have heat race number 4 up for you guys here very, very shortly. Again, do want to thank everybody for coming on in and watching our live coverage of heats and LCQs. As always, I'm Elijah Leonard, bringing you the action for tonight's heats and LCQs. And we do have some changes as far as our silly season rides are concerned. And these are going to be some pretty interesting changes for our drivers. Just need to make sure that we're good to go here, and at least try to make sure that everybody is in their correct positions. And ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to have heat race number 4 on tap for you here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And as we are going to witness here for our starting lineup for heat race number 4, our penultimate heat of the night, Skylar Taylor in some new colors for Racing Motorsport. This is one of the teams that wound up making some changes to a complete makeover similar to Vision Motorsports. Of course, Racing Motorsports going from Chevrolets to Toyotas and getting a whole new look on this number 41. The 43 of Aaron Abel also got a similar makeover as well, but we will see him in our final heat of the night. But this is Skylar Taylor in the number 41 and lining up alongside That is the 71 of Samet Oskin. He's going to be running full time in the Menards Truck Series alongside Beacon Academy Racing. It will also be making some sporadic starts in that number 71 that is also piloted for Beacon Academy Racing. And this is an interesting change here for the 23 camp, because this is originally supposed to be driven by Jade Lee Crow, but there are some changes that have been made, and now driving the number 23 Gear Wrench Toyota Camry, it is now Avery Alford, who will be piloting this car full-time for Trinity River Racing. And then lining up alongside Alford is the number 67 of Andrew Ramsey. Sepp Silver completes the top 5 in our third Vision Motorsports car. And there he is. That is Sepp Silver. The third entry for Vision Motorsports, going to be driving the Samsung colors all throughout the 2026 season, and he will be going for Rookie of the Year honors, as well as going for the championship here for this year. And lining up alongside him, that is Noah Clifton, returning for NS Racing. Row 4 sees Val Moscow and Sebastian Vaughn in the new Monster Energy Zero Sugar colors. I believe that's for Monster Energy Zero colors, I do believe. And then CG Halt and Nikki Fox, they will complete your 10 car field for heat race number 4. Let's go ahead and try that again here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and try that again, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's go ahead and try that one more time, and we should be good to go. So we are going to get the command here to fire up these engines.
Drivers, start your engines.
And we should be good to go here for heat race number 4 here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Pace car immediately ducks down to pit road, and Skylar Taylor, who won at Las Vegas last year, is going to lead him to green this year. Samet Oskin returning to the Cup Series as well. Lines up alongside. Here we go. Green flag in the air for heat race number 4. Oskin tried to hang tough around the outside, and so far, Oskin having a little bit of a better time of hanging on the outside than all the other drivers that we've seen in the starts of our last heats go. But unfortunately, he's going to wound up losing touch of the leader of Skylar Taylor. Is now Avery Alford, and the 23 is going to duke it out with Oskin here for this second position. As they head through turns 1 and 2, Alford going to do everything he can to wrestle that second position away. Oskin trying to play some defense, but so far it really hasn't been paying him any dividends. He tried to make that car stick on the bottom, but unfortunately was not able to do so there through turns 3 and 4. He leaves the door completely wide open for a returning Val Moscow for Powerhouse Crown Racing. He works his way to the inside of the 71 of Oskin. There's CG Halt in the 17, who is trying to do everything he can to knock on the door of the top 4. So far, Oskin and Moscow are side by side, so he might have himself a pretty good chance of getting inside of the top 4 as we speak. Not if Nikki Fox has anything to say about it. She cuts down low on the Blackville Brides Toyota Camry, heading through turns 3 and 4 now. Sebastian Vaughn in the 54, another driver who has not had himself a good season last year. He did not have a good rookie campaign, but now supporting new colors here for his own car, running full-time in a sophomore season. He's going to look to try to turn things around here. There's Andrew Ramsey, who saw one of his cars of Jerry Rose go to victory lane last year, but so far struggling to try to make his way up inside of the top 4. He right now is running in the 8th position. Samet Oskin luckily had some better luck and trying to at least stay inside of the top 4. He managed to find a hole between Moscow and also the 32 of Nicky Fox. And he was going to be able to drop down into the 4th position, and so far doing a very nice job of staying inside of the top 4 threshold. He's holding on to that final transfer spot. And this is the second, well, basically the second to last final spot that will be handed out through our heats. Once we go to our LCQs, it'll be the top 3 in both of our LCQs to get into tomorrow night's show. And those 6 drivers will be making up the provisional spots for tomorrow night's main event. 4 laps to go. Skylar Taylor continuing to lead the charge. Avery Alford in the 23, doing a very nice job in the 2nd position. Then in 3rd is Val Moscow, and Saman Oskin completes the top 4. Now with 3 laps remaining. 2 to go here for Oskin, or for Skylar Taylor. 2 to go for Oskin, that is, at least to hold on to that final transfer spot. And he's going to be in very good position to transfer on here. Final lap here in heat race number 4. Skylar Taylor working their way through turns 3 and 4 this time by. Our Las Vegas winner from last year is going to win heat race number 4. And we'll transfer on into our main event tomorrow night. Avery Alford will be officially making his NOS Energy Cup Series debut tomorrow, along with the 33 of Val Moscow transferring in, and the 71 making his return to the NOS Energy Cup Series, and that being Samet Oskin. Nicky Fox, Halt, Ramsey, Vaughn, Silver, and Clifton, they will have to rely on our LCQs, which we're so far not too far away from witnessing here tonight. But nonetheless, big congratulations to Skylar Taylor, Avery Alford, Val Moscow, and Samet Oskin for transferring on into tomorrow night's main event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on into our LCQs, we have one last heat to go through, and it should be a pretty good one, if I may say, here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And I did realize that there is a driver that I would say is sort of missing, if you will. So just give me 1 second. I already know exactly who I'm going to have take that spot. And we are going to get that situated here very, very shortly. And get these cars lined up in their correct starting positions here for our last heat race of the night before we get into our LCQs. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Just going to make one final change before we get going, and then we should be 100% good to go. Here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And you're right. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, for our last heat of the night, here's your starting lineup. Of course, as you probably see here, there is no driver listed here for the number 4. That car was originally supposed to be piloted by Nia Steidel, but for the 2026 season, this car will be piloted by Trinity Anderson. She starts on the pole. Lining up alongside her is going to be the 12 of Liam Davis. Liam will also be running in the Menards Truck Series full-time, but also making limited starts here in the Cup Series. Aaron Abel and Stephen Walker. Another, basically, we're seeing both of our Death Rider racing cars, at least the last two of the bunch. Stephen Walker lining up in the 4th position, Michael DeFeo, and then Eric Blaze, that being the son of Russell Blaze, whom is already in the show for tomorrow night. Now he's going to be on the box cheering on his son Eric, and as well as his other car of Stephen Walker. Ray Atikian, Martin Nixon making up row number 4, and then Bruno Giacomo, who will be running full-time in the Menards Truck Series and making limited starts for Appalachia Motorsports here in the Cup Series. He lines up alongside Ryan Little here for tonight, and we're going to get these cars prepped up and ready to go here for our last heat race of the night.
Drivers, start your engines!
And Trinity Anderson and Liam Davis, they will line up on the front row and bring the field to the green flag for our last heat race of the night. Of course, Stephen Walker, cousin of Wyatt Walker, so of course Wyatt's going to be on the box cheering for Stephen as well. And starting in the 4th position, might have himself a pretty good chance of at least getting in. Green flag for our last heat race of the night. Trinity Anderson, the younger sister to Emily Anderson, gonna break out with the lead and will lead lap number 1. Aaron Abel jumping in to the 2nd position. Michael DeFeo on the attack for 3rd. And Ray Atikian, who was going to be on the offense for 4th, he's going to have his hands full with Bruno Giacomo, who started 9th in this race and has already moved his way up inside of the top 5. Giacomo, who won at Watkins Glen last year, actually having to fend off Russell Blaze, actually. Ironically enough, he's going to be on the attack down on the inside of now Liam Davis as DeFeo takes over 2nd. Aaron Abel now falls back to 3rd, and Bruno Giacomo moves into the top 4. And he holds on to our final transfer spot being offered through our heats here tonight. Maybe trying to get 2 birds with 1 stone as he goes to the inside of Aaron Abel for the 3rd position. And there is Ryan Little in the 27, now rocking the DHL colors for the 2026 season. But he was very consistent last year. But again, Vision Motorsports switching from Chevrolets to Fords and obviously getting a whole new makeover when it comes to sponsorships and colors and everything. So now Little driving the DHL colors and now knocking on the door of the top 4 is Aaron Abel now on the outside looking in this number 43. There's Martin Nixon, our Daytona 500 winner. He wound up going way wide through turns 3 and 4. That may open up the door here for Stephen Walker to drive to the inside. And trouble is amiss here for Eric Blaze in this number 26. He is at the tail end of the field, and unfortunately, if nothing changes here, he will have to rely on our LCQs, which we will see here very, very shortly. Inside of 10 laps to go, and Trinity Anderson still leads the charge over Michael DeFeo. That's a 3/4 of a second gap between the 4 and the 60. And then the 90 of Bruno Giacomo is in the 3rd spot, and Ryan Little has managed to get by the 43 of Aaron Abel. He now moves up to 4th, and Martin Nixon going to try to take over the 5th position here, heading through turns 1 and 2. But Abel, unfortunately, not going to be able to stay inside of the top 4. As Abel's has just had a lot of trouble, at least trying to keep his car pinned to the bottom of the racetrack. But nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see if Aaron Abel's going to be able to make his way in through the LCQs, because there's going to be a lot of other drivers that are going to be wanting the same thing. And remember, our LCQs for tonight, those are going to be 50 laps of action. So a little bit more time, but the threshold to get in is just one spot smaller. 3 to go for Trinity Anderson, as she opens up that lead just a little bit more over Michael DeFeo. Now, DeFeo is going to be running full-time in the Menards Truck Series, and Eric Blaze, who we mentioned a little bit ago, he'll be running full-time in the Xfinity Series. But as for Trinity Anderson, full-time here in the Cup level, as she took the white flag, makes her way through 3 and 4. Checkers are in the air, and Trinity Anderson wins our final heat race of the night. And she moves on into our main event tomorrow night. Michael DeFeo, Bruno Giacomo, and Ryan Little hold on to those transfer spots, and they will get in to the Bash at the Zoo. However, as for Martin Nixon, Stephen Walker, Liam Davis, Aaron Abel, Eric Blaze, and Ray Atikian, they will have to rely on our LCQs here for tonight. But again, a huge congratulations. Huge congratulations, of course, to Trinity Anderson, Michael DeFeo, Bruno Giacomo, and Ryan Little. They will be moving on into our main event here for tomorrow night. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our heats. And very shortly, or at least soon enough, we will be coming up on our LCQs. So we're going to try to get those situated here for you, ladies and gentlemen. And for those that are coming in and are noticing the Pepsi Cup Series logo, we, again, do want to apologize for the inconvenience and obviously the ill-preparedness of course, of these broadcasts. Obviously, these are, there's been a lot going on, especially outside of, the realms of, WRLA racing, of course, just stuff going on in the personal life, and just, a lot that's happening. But rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, we will make sure that those graphics are updated for you guys heading into, as we progress on into the 2026 season, and hope and pray that we actually are able to get everything updated. So again, do want to apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen, and we most certainly want to thank you guys for tuning in to our heats, and we're getting into our LCQs here for tonight. We're just going to get the rosters set up for that. And then we should be going green flag racing here in our LCQs very shortly. Of course, on top of that, it is interesting of how we've been at the Kalamazoo Speedway before. I do want to say that we have raced at the Kalamazoo Speedway before, so the WRLA is no stranger to this racetrack, to this facility, specifically because of obviously the enriched history of the WRLA being more of a Michigan based, division, if you will. But still, nonetheless, we've been here for Kazoo Mania, and then we've also been here for the Clash at Kalamazoo. Obviously, back before we called it the Bash at the Zoo, obviously it was known as the Clash at Kalamazoo Speedway. Now it is now the Bash at the Zoo here, especially for WRLA. In real life, there is a special event at the Kalamazoo Speedway known as the Kalamazoo Clash, which is a very big deal, especially if out in the Midwest, for the state of Michigan. We've had a lot of big drivers, big names such as Kyle Busch take part, Matt Crafton, David Reagan was here, Todd Gilliland, along with several other future up and coming drivers of the NASCAR ranks, especially who eventually would go on to be stars in the Cup Series. But nonetheless, it is now and has always been home to WRLA Racing. And again, we do want to thank everybody's support for just watching the races last year and, just everything that the division has been through. And of course, we're going to bring you the most action-packed racing that we can for this year. And again, very excited for it. This is going to be one heck of a 2026 season, and we're very much looking forward to that one, to bringing you the action for the year, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ever so closer to getting our rosters here for our LCQ set up. And then once we do that, we'll be able to get the cars lined up in their spots, at least the positions that they finished in their heats in. And from there, we should be 100% ready to go green flag racing in our LCQs for tonight. Of course, just want to make sure that we're dwindling this down to at least 15 cars per roster. So this might take some time. It's more than likely might take some time, but rest assured, we're going to get them all prepped up and ready to go. And then we might actually have to set that up again here, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize for the little bit of lengthy, if you will, sort of wait. Again, for those that are tuning in, we just ran our heats, and now we're just trying to get our field all set up and ready to go for our LCQs, which will take place here very, very shortly. Right now, it's just trying to get all the drivers, at least get them all in a roster, so that way we can get the cars kind of set up accordingly in their LCQ. So again, do want to thank you for your patience at this time. Okay. So now that's been set up. And from here, we're just going to go backwards. Then that and this. And then all right, so our first LCQ roster is officially set up, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to be getting a roster for LCQ number 2 set, and then we'll be setting the starting lineup, and then we'll get ready to go racing for our last LCQ of the night. So again, we do appreciate your patience at this time. And again, I do want to apologize for the very lengthy waits here. And this is I'd say this is a very, very tedious sort of task, if you will, that is just trying to get all of the cars in their proper spots. Actually, there is one driver that I do believe is missing from this, but we're still going to put him in because he is in the LCQs, that being Terry Walker. Actually, we probably might stick him in he's gonna get stuck into the first LCQ anyway. Oops. So then our first LCQ roster. Actually, no, he was in here. Okay, so that's good. That's good, good, good. And now we're going to get our stuff set up here for our first LCQ of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, here we go. This is actually the roster that we need. And this is going to be 50 laps. So then we can do this live here. Live and in living color. All right, ladies and gentlemen. With that said, let's go ahead and show you your starting lineup here for our first LCQ of the night. And again, thank you so much for your patience at this time. I do want to apologize for that very lengthy wait, but we are officially ready to go here for our first of 2 LCQs here tonight. And as you can see on the front row, that is the 00 of Jerry Rose. And lining up in the second position, that is the 69 of Alexander Vitali, Russell Blaze's former ride. Jordan Sumner, Terry Walker, they make up row 2. Andrew Miller, Josiah Munsell, that's row number 3. Then in row 4, Joshua Cornish and Emily Anderson. Row 5 is Travis Crampton and Kyle Craven, our defending champion, who is having to time his way, or not time his way in, but having to race in through the LCQs. Then Abby Walker, Bobby McGuire, Eric Monaco, Zachary Fitzwater, and Nathan Stapleton will make up the 15-car field here for our first LCQ. For those that are tuning in, our 20 cars have been set and ready to go via our heats, and now we're getting ready for our LCQs.
Drivers, start your engine!
And the transfer zone for our LCQs here tonight is the top 3. You have to be in the top 3 in order to make it in. That is for both of our LCQs tonight. Pace car is off. Jerry Rose and Alexander Vitali. One more chance to try to get in to tomorrow night's main event. Green flag is in the air. Here we go for our first of 2 LCQs. Rose hanging tough on the inside. He'll lead lap number 1. Jordan Sumner on the attack. And look at this. Munsell absolutely overshooting the corner. Here we go. These drivers are going to go for it. 3 wide here coming off of turn number 4. Crampton in the middle. Terry Walker up top. Eric Monaco on the inside. Walker slamming the wall coming off of the turn 2 down the back straightaway. But Sumner breaks into second, and Emily Anderson working her way down to the bottom of San Vitali. That is the fight for the 3rd and final transfer spot. Abby Walker down to the inside of Andrew Miller. That is to get by him for the 5th position. And Walker's going to successfully nab that away. Now going to try to go for 4th here on Alexander Vitali. But she messes up the corner. She goes way wide, and that opens up the door for Eric Monaco to drive to the inside, and he through turns 1 and 2. There's the NS Racing cars of Nathan Stapleton and Zachary Fitzwater. They're fighting it out side by side. Give the 8th position over to driver, at least Stapleton's driver, Fitzy, while the boss falls back to 9th. Miller bounces off the wall, and that's another driver that Stapleton has to worry about. But also down to the inside, that's Bobby McGuire in the 18. He ran in the Clash last year at the LA Coliseum, ended up getting lapped by his girlfriend Janiyah Hill, who's in our next LCQ. But so far running inside of the top 10 here for this LCQ, and things not looking too great here for the Interstate Batteries Chevy Camaro. There's our defending champion, Kyle Craven. Also not in a good spot either. He is running in the 12th position. And now back here with Terry Walker, Josiah Munsell, and also the 8 of Joshua Cornish as well. Well, meanwhile, at the front of the field, Jerry Rose, who finished 5th in the first heat tonight. He moved on into this LCQ on the pole position, and honestly, for him, it worked out perfectly well, as now he is in command early on in the going. 11 laps from halfway. Then in second is the 20 of Jordan Sumner and then Emily Anderson. In the Haas Automation number 6, up into the third position, San Vitale on the outside looking in, just about 0.6 of a second behind the Haas Automation Toyota Camry. Again, this is Russell Blaze's former ride for the Durrani Racing entry. Finished runner-up in the championship in this car. Now Alex San Vitale piloting this car. Obviously no nameplate on the front and rear windshields, but again, that will be changed once we go to Daytona in just 2 weeks' time to settle who will be on the front row for the Daytona 500 and who will be starting where in their respective duels. But nonetheless, here for this heat, or really this LCQ, San Vitale is on the outside looking in here. There's Eric Monaco running in the 5th position so far. Top 5 effort for Monaco, but that's not enough. If he really wants to get into tomorrow night's main event, he is going to have to pick up 2 more spots. For Fitzy, it's 3. And then there's Abby Walker, who is our winner from Iowa, piloting the M&M's Crispy colors here for the 2026 season. Something completely different from last year as far as the look of the M&M's colors. Walker right now still running in the 7th position. Meanwhile, behind her is McGuire and Travis Crampton. Crampton had been doing everything that he possibly could to try to wrestle that 6th or that 8th spot away from McGuire. That dirt track experience versus the iRacing experience, if you will, amongst both of the drivers. I mean, obviously for Crampton, you know, he does have that iRacing experience as well, but he also does his fair share of racing in real life as well. And that may come into play here when it comes to trying to nab that 8th position away from the 18 of Bobby McGuire. Take a look further back in the field. There is Terry Walker and Kyle Craven. These two kind of duked it out last year in the championship before Terry Walker unfortunately fell out of the top 5, or really fell out of the points lead, if you will. And that put Kyle Craven in the ultimate position to take the points lead and not really look back from there. He went on to win the championship last year, so he is our defending champion for the NOS Energy Cup Series. And in this, here on this night, unfortunately, he is in danger of missing out on tomorrow night's main event from here at the Kalamazoo Speedway, which you will be able to catch live tomorrow night around 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Most certainly we'll look forward to our 200 lapper tomorrow night, and that's going to be an absolute cluster of a time. 20 laps of racing to go. Here in our first LCQ, Jerry Rose still leading the charge, and then Jordan Sumner starting to lose a little bit of ground there in the Celsius colors. 3/4 of a second is the difference between the 00 and the 20. At least as of right now. And then Emily Anderson still sitting in the 3rd position, and then San Vitale in 4th, Monaco 5th, and so on and so forth. So far, again, nothing else has really changed inside of pretty much all throughout the field, because at this particular rate, everybody has worked themselves into a single file formation, because they pretty much have kind of accepted to themselves at this rate that there's really not going to be too much time left. So you might as well just stick in the position that you're in and be good to go from there, unfortunately. If that is, if you are 4th on down. Coming to 15 laps to go. Sumner was able to close the gap just a little bit on the 00 of Rose, but now that gap opens back up by 2/100ths of a second. And it opens up by another 2/100ths between the 00 and the 20. Our winner from Pocono last year Obviously looking for some redemption here for the 2026 season. Points-wise, did not do well at all last year in his rookie campaign. But now heading into this campaign, this 2026 season, Jerry Rose is looking to try to rebound and have a breakout year. 10 laps to go. And in another 10 laps on this same breath, he is going to be well on his way to transferring on into tomorrow night's main event, the Bash at the Zoo, which again, for those tuning in, you can catch that live on Twitch tomorrow night, right around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That race should be a fun one. That's going to be a 200 lapper from here at the fastest 3/8 of a mile racetrack in the world. 7 to go here at Kalamazoo. Anderson, about another 3/4 of a second back from race leader Jerry Rose, and she is also in a really good spot to transfer her way into the show. And obviously holding off the 69 of San Vitale, who unfortunately at this rate, with 5 laps to go here in this LCQ, will have to sit on the sidelines and get ready for Daytona 500 pole qualifying, which will be held on the 12th of February. And that in and of its own should be a really fun time at the Daytona International Speedway. We are using the Tally Rally version of Daytona this year, so we are jumping on the train of using the Tally Rally Daytona. Obviously, in other NR series, it's had a lot of success and a lot of fun races, and we're going to be looking to add our name onto that list in just 2 weeks' time. But as for tonight, here in our LCQs, coming through turn 4, white flag in the win, 1 lap to go for Jerry Rose here in our first LCQ. Sumner was able to close the gap just a little bit, but not enough to try to win this LCQ. As Jerry Rose takes the checkered flag, he will move on to tomorrow night's main event, along with Jordan Sumner and the 6 of Emily Anderson. So both of the Anderson sisters will be racing in the Clash, or in the Bash at the Zoo tomorrow night. It's basically our version of the Clash, really, to be more specific. But as for San Vitale, Monaco, Fitzwater, Abby Walker, Bobby McGuire, Travis Crampton, Andrew Miller, Joshua Cornish, Nathan Stapleton, Josiah Munsell, Kyle Craven, and the 48 of Terry Walker. Unfortunately, these drivers will not make the main event for tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. But as for Rose, Sumner, and Anderson, they take up the first 3 of our 6 provisionals for tomorrow night. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is our second and last LCQ of the night here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. We're going to get these cars lined up on the racetrack and get ready to go for our last event of the night here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. So again, do appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching the action from here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And again, if you are brand new here to the WRLA, we do appreciate you being here. And if you are brand new, be sure to hit the like button here on our live streams. We will be live for qualifying for the WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series all throughout the 2026 season. And be sure to hit that subscribe button as well if you want to keep up with some fine racing all throughout the year. Gonna make sure our cars are all lined up and ready to go here for our last LCQ, our second and final LCQ of the night from here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And we should be 100% good to go. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, here is your starting lineup for our final LCQ, second and final LCQ of the night. It is Ryan Gundillo who lines up on the pole. Then it is Janiah Hill who lines up alongside. Then Alex Bonsignor, Nikki Fox. They make up row number 2. CG Holt and Andrew Ramsey will be in the third row. Sebastian Vaughn, Sepp Silver in row 4. Noah Clifton and also the 2 of Martin Nixon. They complete your top 10. Liam Davis and Stephen Walker will make up row number 6. Aaron Abel, Eric Blaze, and then Ray Atikian holds on to that last starting position here for our second and final LCQ of the night.
Race fans, get on your feet! Drivers, start your engines!
And here we go. For these drivers, one more chance at trying to get in. Of course, there's one other thing that we do need to change up here real quick because the 17 has the wrong, it is the wrong car here for CG Holt. So we do need to make that slight little change here. And again, I do apologize. I just caught onto it because it's not the current Toyota Camry that we have. It is the older Toyota Camry. So we're making that change right now as we speak. And we're going to get the cars reset, re-racked and restacked. And we're going to try it again. But this time with the correct car for CG Holt. Again, do apologize for that. Thankfully, we caught it before the drivers took the green flag. But still not exactly the way I was hoping to catch that mistake. So again, huge error on my part. But nonetheless, I'm actually kind of laughing at myself for that because that was kind of a sort of a bonehead move on my part, not to really check to see which version of the Black Veil Bride's Toyota Camry we were using for CG Holt, because obviously they carry the exact same paint scheme. The difference is the nose and basically the headlights of the 17 of CG Holt. And now officially, ladies and gentlemen, we should be good to go. So, now that everybody is all set up, we should be good to go officially here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. Everything pretty much all corrected. Just gonna wait. There it is. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now officially, here we go. One last opportunity for these drivers in this second LCQ to try to make something happen. If they want to get into tomorrow night's main event, 3 spots on the line, and we're just going to roll with it because it's the wrong car here for Andrew Ramsey, but same purpose nonetheless. Here we go. Green flag in the air for our second LCQ of the night. Gundillo breaks out with the lead. Bonsignor now moving up into the second spot. And Janiah Hill actually going to manage to hold on to the outside, and she will maintain the third position, but she goes way wide through the corner. And now here comes the 54, Sebastian Vaughn on the attack. Vaughn trying to get his way into tomorrow night's bash at the zoo. And that will put last year's winner of the bash in trouble, as now she gets past here for this final transfer spot officially. Can Vaughn clear the 7 of Hill? Hill trying to hold on around the outside, but not going to be able to make it stick. So give that third and final transfer spot as of right now to the 54 of Sebastian Vaughn. Stephen Walker in the 24 had a bond. My mic wound up cutting out there, so I do apologize. All I did was move my leg. But Stephen Walker, nonetheless, as I was mentioning, had a bonsai move not that long ago. Made it 3 wide through turns 3 and 4. Moves him up into the 5th position. And again, I am aware that this is the wrong car here for Andrew Ramsey. But nonetheless, Ramsey trying to do everything he can in what has magically turned into his old Pepsi Cup Series car. He's in the 7th position, but now going to get passed here by the 99 of Noah Clifton, nonetheless. But moving up towards the front of the field, Ryan Gundillo still leading the charge. Bonsignor in 2nd, Sebastian Vaughn in 3rd. And then Janiyah Hill, our winner from the bash last year, when we raced at the LA Coliseum. She wound up winning that race in dominating fashion, but here we are this year. She is on the verge of missing out of the bash at the zoo at her former home track, one of a few former home tracks for her. You're the Kalamazoo Speedway, the other of which being the Michigan International Speedway, which we will visit later on in the season in June. But Hill right now on the verge of missing out with 37 laps to go here in this LCQ. There's Stephen Walker in the 24. Another driver currently on the outside looking in, trying to chase down Janiyah Hill for that 4th position, at least to try to get into that outside looking in position. But if you are Gundillo, Bonsignor, or Vaughn, so far things are looking pretty stout, if I may say, if you're inside of the top 3. Gundillo doing a fantastic job holding on to this race lead. Now, Gundillo's another driver whom hasn't seen a ton of success here in the WRLA, whether if he was racing for EGI or racing for, of course, his own team of GG Motorsports, running part-time in this division. He has not seen a NOS Energy Cup Series win ever. He's come close several times, but unfortunately just has not been able to get the job done. Not just when he was driving the 59 and then the 58 for EGI, but now, of course, hasn't really been able to see much success in this number 51. That is when it comes to winning races. He does run well, but unfortunately has not been able to see a checkered flag for a NOS Energy Cup Series victory. But it could happen this year. I mean, Travis Crampton, when he was running part-time last year, managed to win at Talladega. So, I mean, who knows? It could happen for the 51 of Ryan Gundillo. We're just gonna have to wait and see as we progress on into the season. Closing in on the halfway mark here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. 3 laps from the halfway point. Alex Bonsignor trying to cut into Gundillo's lead. Cut into it just by another 2 100ths, so at least in the last LCQ, it was about a 3/4 of a second gap between Jerry Rose and Jordan Sumner. Here, it's just a little under a two-thirds of a second difference between the 51 and the 22. I'm going to take a look further back in the field. There's Eric Blaze in the 26. Not looking too good here, at least trying to get into the show for tomorrow night, running in the 8th position. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Eric Blaze will be running a full schedule here for the Xfinity Series. Of course, Russell Blaze acquiring the Junior Motorsports cars for Death Rider Racing, and Eric Blaze amongst the drivers that will be competing in this year's WRLA Xfinity Series. There's also the 12 of Liam Davis. Davis will be running full-time in the Menards Truck Series, and so far he's not looking like he's going to make the show. And there's a Tikian who will be running full-time in the Xfinity Series for Walker Family Motorsports, while up here he'll be running limited races for Trinity River Racing here in the NOS Energy Cup level. Martin Nixon, our Daytona 500 winner, now falling back into the caboose position. He won a race here at KZoo Mania, of course, for another organization. But here in this race, unfortunately, not faring too well. Dead last here in this LCQ with less than 20 laps of racing to go. Here on our second and final LCQ of the night, this is to determine the final 3 starting positions for tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. 23 cars are already registered and ready to go. Now we just need these 3 drivers to make up the 26-car roster for our tomorrow night's 200-lapper here at Kalamazoo Speedway. Janiyah Hill in this 7. We're going to try to run down the 54 of Sebastian Vaughn. So far, she's made up some ground. So far, it's about a 7/10 of a second difference. Almost there. Almost a 7/10 of a second difference. But it's just under a half a second now. Or at least just about a half a second between 3rd and 4th. Vaughn able to at least pull away from the 7 of Hill just by a little bit, not a whole lot. The gap between the 54 and the 7 is about 53 100ths of a second. Now it's turned into 51, now 56. Almost a 2/3 of a second gap between the 54 and the 7. But so far, Vaughn has definitely turned up the heat, if you will, on trying to make sure he can move on into tomorrow night's show. We are inside of 10 laps to go, and Ryan Gondillo is leading the charge here at Kalamazoo Speedway. Botsinger are going to try to close, either that or at least try to hang on, so that way he can make the show. He finished, I believe he finished 2nd in last year's bash. That was when we were racing at the LA Coliseum, or at least he finished close to the top 5 in last year's race. But he's going to be starting towards the tail end of the field in this year's Bash at the Zoo. 6 to go. And the gap between the 51 and the 22 is a 3/4 of a second difference. Now with 5 laps to go. Definitely a repeat of what we saw in the last LCQ as far as gaps are concerned. And lap traffic, which we are going to see tomorrow, will be a huge factor in tomorrow night's main event from here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. 3 laps of racing to go. And as for everybody from 4th on down, they will have to sit this one out and watch it from the sidelines. And these are other drivers that will have to get ready to go for Daytona 500 pole qualifying on the 12th of February at Daytona International Speedway. 1 lap to go for Ryan Gondillo. and he is well on his way to transferring on into the main event tomorrow night. Checkers in the wind for Ryan Gundillo as he moves on into the main event tomorrow night, along with Alex Bonsignor, and Sebastian Vaughn holds on to the 26th and final transfer spot. He moves on. He gets into the show to make up the 26 car field for tomorrow night's Bash at the Zoo. However, as for Janiah Hill, Stephen Walker, Aaron Abel, Noah Clifton, Eric Blaze, Liam Davis, Andrew Ramsey, Sep Silver, Nikki Fox, CG Holt, Ray Atikian, and Martin Nixon. Unfortunately, those drivers will be watching this race from the sidelines, and they will have to get ready for Daytona 500 pole qualifying, which they will have plenty of time to do all of next week and just basically a whole week and a half of preparation to get their cars ready to go for the Daytona 500. Want to thank you guys a lot for watching qualifying, or at least the heats and LCQs from here at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And if you guys like this, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe in order to keep up with some fine racing coming out in the near future. One more time, congratulations to Gundillo, Bonsignor, and Vaughn for taking the final 3 spots to make up the 26 car field here for the Bash at the Kalamazoo Speedway. And as far as the main event goes, that will be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch that live on Twitch. Have yourselves a fantastic night and a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch for the Bash at the Zoo.